There he
Like
is.
this. Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good, thanks. It's a
That's great.
beautiful sunny day here in Dublin.
Yeah, here too, actually.
Yeah? Where are you based?
Helsingborg.
Hels
Helsingborg.
Helsingborg. I'm
Yeah.
actually learning Norwegian at the moment, so I'm starting to pick up on the similarities between the languages.
Yeah, sometimes it's pretty similar. Swedish and Norwegian. But yeah,
Yeah. Nice to
some
meet you anyway.
differences.
Thanks for sending on the record for us.
Yeah, no problem.
And I received this in the mail the other day.
Yeah, saw the picture.
Yeah, wasn't signed. Next time.
Maybe when we come to Ireland.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes. Love
for
it.
sure.
Yeah. The is this an EP or is it an album? What is it classed as?
Well, it's an album. I don't know. I asked the label, and he said something that Spotify, everything that doesn't have more than 7 songs or 6 songs is called an EP, according to Spotify.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he said. And I mean, I myself uploaded the last album, Phantom Center. It was 7 songs, 36 minutes, and that was an album. This is 6 songs and 43 minutes, and it's an EP. So I don't really know.
Oh man, Spotify, you love and hate it, huh?
Yeah, I guess it's a necessary evil to have Spotify these days. So
Yeah.
if we could do without it, we would. But it's the easiest way to find music and our music and bands like us and like that. So I mean, you have to stick with it.
Yeah, yeah. I know I always have this conversation with people in bands like it's such a great tool for being able to just quickly listen to something and see if you like it before committing to like buying things, like say physical. But at the same time, it just screws bands out of money. Like
Yeah,
so. But anyway, I've got my hands on this, and the album actually, the artwork is very simplistic, very cold, like which I think quite nicely represents what you're doing as a band in this. I mean, I don't know what you describe your music as, sludge, post metal, whatever, but it fits so nicely. The album's great, by the way. It is really good. I remember you sent it on to me via email, I think, at one point, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Like the this whole post metal or whatever you want to say um, is a really interesting genre, and especially when you consider like the bands that have come out of Sweden for a population that's so small,
yeah,
like what 10 million people maybe. I don't know if it's more than that, but
yeah. Probably 10 million nowadays.
yeah. But I mean, like there's obvious influences on this record, and the one thing that struck me straight away was another of your fellow Swedes in Cult of Luna, who
Yeah.
are just heavily crushing, and that's what you've delivered on this album. Is this what you're striving to be? Is this where you're at now? Do you feel content as a band, like what you're creating, or do you think there's more to come?
Well, I think there's more to come, and I mean the evolution since we started has been, like gigantic. Actually, we started out and we just were jamming around and didn't know really what we wanted to do. We had our bands that we liked that we wanted to try to quote unquote sound like, and then we started, and it took some time, and it was Breach, Burst, Cult of Luna, Neurosis, Isis.
Yeah.
Those those types of bands, but we didn't know if we were going to have vocals in the
Okay.
beginning. That was my plan, but I wasn't sure because I hadn't screamed and played at the same time for a couple of years. So, insecurities in the beginning. And we started out, and I mean, it didn't sound like this in the beginning, of course, but you know, as time goes on and you know what you want to do, and it becomes better, hopefully. So I mean, yeah, Cult of Luna I've listened to since, I mean, we are the same age basically. I've played with uh, Plastic Pride. Johannes was in a band called Plastic Pride. We played Separation a long time ago, '97, I think. So
No
we've
way.
been we've been coming up like at the same time, probably listening to the same stuff uh, from the hardcore scene. You know, like Integrity and bands like that. Bloodlet has been a huge influence. Turmoil, Dead Guy, those kinds of bands shaped the way I listen and play music. That's the stuff I've been doing for many years now. The more chaotic stuff, and I've tried this genre before, uh, but we didn't record anything. But we played here in Helsingborg, a couple of guys, an instrumental piece. But you know, going back to the roots and doing the stuff I didn't do uh, fully when I was younger. Kind of.
There's four of you in the band now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And is that are you all are you all credited on the album? Is it a collective thing that you're all writing together, or are you the songwriter and
No, me and Peter wrote probably all the stuff on the album.
okay,
The other guitarist, and uh, you know, and then we recorded drums in a studio, and then me and Peter recorded everything else in our makeshift studio where we practiced. So me and him basically wrote it, and uh, our drummer who he quit after or the last summer. He played drums on the recording, and we have a new drummer now, and me and Peter also played the bass on this
okay.
album. Yeah,
I'd
so
say
it
it's
was
not
kind
hard.
of
Go on.
no. So basically, me and him did the rest besides drums and recording drums.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you said makeshift studio. What do you mean by that? Like, did you make a studio in your practice place?
yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, as in moved in a mixing desk, or was it? What's just explain how that worked?
Yeah, no, I bought a little what it's a Mac Mini, and you know, installed it, and we had speakers and you know the sound, the interface, and you know plugins like you do nowadays. And we started. We actually did basically the same with Phantom Center, but then we recorded everything, drums as well. But you know, what I mean, we are not engineers in any way, so that was doing it by trial and error and a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. Yeah. So this time we wanted the full sound, and we started with drums. And I think the idea was to do guitars as well, and you know everything in a studio. But just because of time constraints and you know working, and some have kids and stuff like that,
Yeah,
we couldn't make it fit. So we started recording, and it just came out really good. Even the raw recording was like 10 times better than the last one. But I think the main thing is that we sent it to a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer this time, so we could get this, you know, professionalism about it that basically lacked a little bit last time because we did everything ourselves.
yeah. And did you
Yeah.
get like obviously it was released on a label. Did you get any help financially, like towards the mixing and mastering, or was it all self-funded?
No, everything is self-funded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, These Hands Melt is a new and a small label, and I don't know. I didn't really ask. We were just like really happy to finally put out a vinyl.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, that is very expensive, and like we don't know anything about sales. You know, people like us, but do we sell anything? And we felt like, yeah, if it's gonna pay like 3,000 euros for vinyls, we can pay the rest ourselves.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like it must be such a pleasure to have that in your hands, like a vinyl record that is you've created. It must be so satisfying.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. It's the we did I did one a 7 inch a very long time ago. That's the only time I ever done anything on vinyl. So that was it's pretty cool actually.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of you're saying there, like people like you, popularity and things like that. Do you do you connect with fans around the world that have get in contact with you? Do they get in contact with you on social media or mail or?
Yeah, it happens more often now with this album. I mean, it's from all over the world really, and it's really cool, and it's pretty surreal at the same time that people like it so much, and they want to engage in conversations and ask things. And uh, today we're gonna sign a vinyl for a French guy. Uh, I mean, well, that doesn't really happen, but you know, so that it's pretty cool, and it's very humbling as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, we do this on our free time, and you can't really expect too much, even though great reviews, but it sometimes it doesn't really mean a thing.
yeah.
If people like you and everyone else that's listening doesn't really engage in it, it doesn't really matter.
The reason I asked that was because I was talking to a friend of mine last night. He lives in Dublin as well, and we go to gigs together, and we exchange albums. Say, listen to this, listen to this, and I said to him, "Oh, I'm interviewing these guys tomorrow, Collapse," and said this is their album. Didn't know if he heard of you, and he said he just came back. He said, I know these. I didn't realize they had a new EP. They're great." And I just thought it would be nice to hear something like is actually from, there was no, I didn't set up and say I'm interviewing them. It was just like, these guys are great. So to get that, to hear that must be incredible as well. Like little things like that.
Yeah, it is. It's very humbling. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't really know what approach to take.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I do most of the social media and band stuff, and like the design work, and so yeah, I talk to quite a lot of people, but when it's about your band and they like it and they're like, oh, this is really really good, and it's like in the top post metal blah 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 categories, it's yeah, it's really, it touches you, and you get humbled. I think that's the only way for me, anyways. So
Yeah.
we don't take anything for granted, because this is just, this it's music, and we do it on a free time, and we're from a little place and from a small country in the big world. So uh, it takes some time to digest it all, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And the band name then. So you had to change the name because of now I don't were they from the States or
No,
Denmark?
they're a Danish band called Collapse.
Yeah.
And just a little brief backstory. When we started Collapse, we went on Google and looked at things, and yeah, and we found the Danish band, but at that time, as I recall, we couldn't see if they were still an active band.
Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't find that much information, so we decided to keep it, and it's of course from the Breach album, Collapse, spelled with a K, like in Swedish. The mixture between Swedish and English. So we decided to keep it, and hope for the best. And I added the front slash or the back slash or whatever it is, because we have songs in Swedish. So we wanted to make that point in the band name that is like English and Swedish, even in the name Collapse.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we released the Pandemic Session EP, and somehow it got around, and uh, I think they contacted us because they were tagged in an Instagram post or something like that, and yeah, we started talking a little bit, and I was, oh yeah, really, I'm sorry, but
Oh,
now it's out there. Yeah, now it's out there, so I don't really know what to do. And I said maybe we will change the name, maybe. and then things kind of took off, and we signed Trepanation Recordings, and at that time it was a little bit too late to change the name. So for the last year I've been doing some design stuff, and I started to play around with the letters, and I did the classic take on the New York hardcore logo kind of thing,
Mhm.
and it became KLPS, and a little bit inspired by another Danish band, LLNN.
Yes.
Like that kind of uh, approach to it. So I introduced it to the other guys and said, yeah, just call it Collapse, but we spell it like this. And we went with it, and we tried it on the artwork for the album, and it kind of made sense.
Mhm.
So we just changed the way we spell it, and it's still called Collapse.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Danish band Kollapse, were they a metal band or were they something different?
No, there it's like noisy hardcore sludge. So it's not like a miles apart either.
Right, okay. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, like, if it was a pop group or something, you'd probably just like there'd be a different story. But
Yeah.
did it
So
did it go through like legal stuff, or did you just agree to change it?
no legal stuff. I mean, they have been very very cool about it,
Okay.
and the few conversations we had, we said let's do a tour together.
I was going to say that. Surely that's on the cards.
Yeah, that would be really cool. They just played with Great Falls, so
Right.
they are around and they're really good, and it's all in Danish, but it's really really good, and everybody should check them out.
Yeah. That tour has to happen.
Yeah, that would be very cool, actually.
Yeah. Do you do much in talking of touring? Do you do many like on the release of this? Did you do a tour of like Sweden? I don't know the Swedish metal scene that well in terms of being metal bars and venues, but did you do much touring for this?
No, we haven't played much at all, actually, because we started and the pandemic came, and after the pandemic they were like backed up with shows, so pretty much all the venues around Sweden and elsewhere just had to get back on their feet, and commit to the bands they had booked. So we played maybe a handful of shows, 7 maybe,
Right.
in all these years. So there hasn't been much activity yet, but this year is shaping up pretty good so far.
Can you tell us a bit
Uh,
about it?
yeah, on Saturday we're gonna have a small release show here in Helsingborg with some friends. They are called Gamdöden, a Swedish word. They're like also like a doomy post rock, post metal band from here, and then I have one I can't really talk about yet, and then in the fall we're gonna play with two Swedish bands. One is called Meridia. It's post-hardcore with a female singer. Really awesome. Should also check them out. And a Swedish band, as I said, by the Swedish name Oro, worrying in English.
Right.
It's also kind of our style, but they're all in Swedish.
Okay.
Like doomy metal.
Yeah. And
And then there,
sorry, carry
what?
on. Carry on,
No,
please.
and then there is 2 or 3 more, but nothing, nothing big, like not a tour, but just shows here and there. But there are starting to be offers for stuff, and we have to, get together and see what's possible, I guess.
Nice. Well, maybe when I stop recording, you can tell me about this one that's not released yet, and I'll keep my mouth shut on it.
Yeah, for sure.
I honestly, when I was getting prepped for this interview, I was thinking, right, Swedish bands. And like going back to my original point, 10 million people in Sweden, there is an incredible amount of quality bands in Sweden, which I think if you put it like against the population of each country and the amount of bands, Sweden must be right up there for some of the stuff that's been released. I mean, you've got the greatest band in the world from Sweden in Opeth. You've got Meshuggah, Cult of Luna. You've got In Flames, Bathory, Watain, Dark Funeral. Like, is is it a proper metal country, Sweden, or is it just pockets here and there?
I think, yeah, it's probably a metal country in that sense. I mean, as you get older, you tend to drift away a little bit from the scene. But I mean, I see a lot of younger kids starting bands, and it's metal bands, and the complex we practice at. There's probably five, six, seven bands playing heavy music in some way, shape, or form. But I think it's in our probably in our DNA because of all these big bands like In Flames, At the Gates, Sork, and all the death metal stuff, and also yeah, Cult of Luna in on the other side of metal, and Burst. That and I mean, there's been refused hardcore bands.
Hmm.
I mean, Breach. Uh, so yeah, I think it has a huge uh, foundation in Sweden. But
Do,
even also, I mean, pop music, rock music, the Helicopters, and
ABBA.
backyard babies, and all this. I mean, so I hope like the younger generation will carry the torch instead of like swiping on TikTok all day.
Yeah, yeah. Do you, when you were growing up, and I don't know how old you are, sorry, I'm not even going to ask you, but when you were growing up, were you influenced by, were you more influenced by bands in Sweden or bands outside of Sweden?
Well, I mean, MTV was a big thing. Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
Can I can reveal my age? I'm 46 years old.
Okay. But you look great
Yeah,
for 46.
thank you very much. That's the only thing I got going. No, but no, yeah, it was a lot of MTV. I have two older brothers. One listened to like Duran Duran and stuff like that, and one listened to Swedish punk.
Right.
Ebba Grön. I don't know if you know him.
No.
You know, a big Swedish band back in the punk scene. So I listened to a lot of punk, and also on the other side, I listened to a lot of synth bands. And
Okay.
then MTV came. It was Headbangers Ball and Super Rock, and you know, and the interest for band started like 13, 14, and you found you looked at the cover and thought, ah, this would be great. It was Iron Maiden
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff. So that's the way we grew up, and we it was a lot of CDs and tapes and mixtapes, and you know, getting music that way, and looking at you know, inside the booklets, and see what other bands recommended, and you know,
Yeah.
all this type of thing.
Which, going back to Spotify, that's another thing that's sort of lost, isn't it? Exactly like you said, you used to get a CD, you'd open it up and be like, you know, so and so, thanks, and names off the bands, and you're like, oh, I'll check them out, and you know, if they like them, I must like them, and even just having the artwork as well. And I think a lot of people now, you know, and I'm guilty of it as well, but you know, you go on Spotify, press play, and you're not even looking at the artwork. It's only when you get like a physical one in your hands like this that I think you
Yeah,
appreciate it a lot more. And I think that's coming back in a way as well because vinyl's coming back in a big way. And there's always that intrigue when you see like an album cover, like, you know, just to try it out to see. Um, but so yeah, those, I mean, that's just more of a statement rather than a question, but you know, showing our age now about how we grew up with CDs and cassettes and things like that. Those days are gone, and like you said, unfortunately, people just get the opportunity to hit play, and if they don't like it after a couple of seconds, move on to the next thing. But fortunately, that's
yeah,
not not on in your case at all. So, um, with the label, the label you're with, have you signed a? I don't know how it works these days, to be honest. Do you sign a contract for like 2 years, 3 years, or is it just let's see how we go?
Yeah, this time around it was just the contract for, I guess, for one album.
Okay.
It doesn't say specifically, but yeah, that's so if it does well, maybe we will be in the talks to continue, or if something bigger comes, I don't know. We have to see if we get any options.
Mhm.
It's not a certainty. I mean, uh, we had something lined up before Trepanation Recordings, and it fell through. And Dan, I sent him the CD. It was already done, and he agreed to do it on his label. So I mean, sometimes it just happens like that. And I know, being in contact with a lot of labels, they want a complete record before they even, even touch it. So you don't really get signed and then you deliver the album. They want the album first, and then comes the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but being signed these days to a label is not what it used to be being signed 20 years ago. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, if for example, and I hope it doesn't happen, that this is the one album deal and that's it. They're not going to commit to another one. I get the sense that you're so passionate about this band that you, as either yourself or as the whole band, would self-fund the next release. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, that will be a possibility. I mean, uh, it's it's easier to get your music out today. You don't actually really need a label, but
Hmm.
you get more interest from, like media and stuff like that, if you don't do it yourself. But you can do everything yourself and still have a good career, or what you want to call it. I mean, there are so many outlets to do it, and it's all about each member or one person, or whoever who wants to, like, spend the time pushing it every day. So I mean, a lot of people think that being on a label generates all these opportunities, but somebody has to do it behind the curtains.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it doesn't mean anything really, besides we don't have to pay for the vinyl, CDs, and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and merchandise then as well. Do you have like clothing merch as well?
yeah, we have a few designs. We have a hoodie and
Oh,
some
cool.
t-shirts, and it's self-funded and it's expensive, and there we print like 50 maybe, and maybe it takes 1 year to sell 50 t-shirts, because we don't play,
Yeah,
or we haven't played that many shows. So you know sales all around are pretty, it takes some time, so you have to be patient and you have to be willing to, like, front the cash, and don't worry about losing money, because that's going to happen anyways.
yeah. I'd say that
So
is
it's
a good mindset to have. Like, you know, the likes of Maiden, Metallica, all those bands, they're comfortable. Like, they're never going to be in a negative. Like, they could print thousands of merch, not sell anything, and still take home a nice paycheck. But for like you guys, I think the realization, sorry, I'm not just saying you guys, I mean like, underground bands or smaller bands. I hate to use that title, but the realization that, you are potentially, if you break even, that's great. If you make a
Yeah.
profit, it's even better. But the realization is you probably are from time to time going to have to take a hit. And I suppose it's more of, short-term loss, potentially long-term gain in the whole band situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, the margins for us is not really that big, because we print small numbers. each piece it gets more expensive. So we don't want to take like, now I'm talking euros, but we don't want to, like make people pay 25 euros for a t-shirt. That's obscene in my world. So we try to keep it as low as we can. And then, of course, you have the shipping rates. And so I understand people doesn't really want to pay for nothing. Shipping, we have to do it because we can't hand deliver
Yeah.
everything ourselves. But yeah, so I mean, the margins are not great. So if we can break even or even make a profit, we put that profit into making more merchandise.
Okay.
And yeah, so we have to invest a little bit of money, and hopefully we can keep it, like growing and doing more stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. Uh, I mean, we sell a little bit, but it's not like we can do 5 designs a year.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I think, do you, like you were saying, there's like 7 bands who go to your practice space, and the young bands and there's young kids coming up. When you see them starting out, you mentioned there about flying the flag and stuff, but do you have like in the back of your mind, like because of your, use my words, years in the scene, years on this earth, and how hard it is to get to where you are today? Do you sort of feel a bit sorry for those guys as well? That they might not, their expectations are higher than their reality?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, if you get into a conversation with them, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do an EP or
Yeah.
stuff like that," and they think it's like it's gonna be on Spotify and everything is set. But I mean, that's really the easy part. You have to make songs, great songs. You have to get people to listen. You have to get your name out there.
Hmm.
And and when you're young and you don't have any like connections or networking and stuff like that, it's pretty much impossible. I mean, I've been doing it for 30 years, and I've been kind of the driving force behind most of my bands. So I have a little bit of like been doing networking for a lot of years, and been doing stuff in and around the scene in some way or another. Like doing designs for bands, and one time I had a fan sign and stuff like that. So you have to keep like talking to these people, and I have a new project. I would be super honored if you wanted to check us out, and
Yeah.
like have to take that kind of approach instead of forcing them to listen to something, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean,
It's always it has always been for me that way. Like you have to be like walking a little bit on eggshells and around it, because everybody talks about their bands all the time, blah blah blah. So you have to make them a little bit interested in and like choose the approach in that way.
yeah. And I think as much as we hate it, love to hate it, social media is playing a big part in that because, like, for example, you just dropped us a message, said, like, here, check this out. But there's definitely a way to approach it. I mean, we could potentially get, 10, 15 promos a day. And it's always for fans of X, Y, and Z, or this band have said this and that. But what I really like you said, is like the personal approach where someone says, hi, look, like what you're doing. If you have a chance, check us out, rather than we'd love to get a review, check us out. And
Yeah,
this is why, like, we don't get paid doing this. And myself and Venny, who do the podcast, we don't get paid for this. We've done it for 5 years this month now. And we just do it because we like listening to metal. We like discovering new bands. And if we can get 10 people to listen to your record, buy your record, then that's basically what we're here for. And the bands like Metallica, Maiden, Slayer, blah blah blah, they don't need any promotion. They've done
yeah,
their job. Like they're set. But if we can do a little bit and just give something back like this, then it makes it all worthwhile for us. As I said, we don't get paid. We do get the promos in advance, which is great. And we love talking to people like you. So it's been, things like this are really, they make my day actually, to be honest, without sounding cheesy. Just getting a chat to yourself who is a regular working guy by day and a rock star by night. Oh, sorry, you work nights, so you're a rock star by day, working at nights. Yeah,
Yeah, that's less glamorous. Day drinking, maybe.
day drinking. Oh, the best
Yeah.
kind of drinking. Um, so you've got what? This has just been released not long ago. Couple of tours.
March 7th.
Was it March the 7th?
Yeah,
Wow, that has flown by. Nearly a month
I
has been
know.
out. Wow. Oh, no, I meant to say to you, where can I get merch, the hoodies and t-shirts on the Bandcamp or?
Yeah, on Bandcamp, yeah.
Oh, I'll have a check after this then for sure. And so, are you a man who is constantly writing music, or do you have
Uh,
the lulls?
yeah, it comes in waves. I mean, I would like to write more music, but then I end up doing band stuff all day on my free time. So when I get to it, I'm lucky if I do 3 or 4 riffs. That's pretty cool. And
Right,
it can be weeks. I'm fortunate to play with Peter, the other guitarist. He's like a machine. He plays guitar all the time, and he really does that really well. I mean, I've been doing playing guitar a lot of years, but I'm still not very good. I didn't put much practice into it because when I started, I just wanted to play punk music. So I
right.
learned I learned 3 chords
Yeah,
and
yeah.
let's have a band. I didn't know any music theory. I do everything by ear. But yeah, it's been working out for 30 years.
I was going to say it's turned out okay on record, so you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Um, well, listen, thank you for your time. This has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And look, I mean, hopefully our paths will cross at some point in the future, whether that be in Dublin or in Sweden or somewhere in Europe. That'd be great to meet in person and have a beer and a bit of a chat.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, no, that'd be great. But listen, again, best of luck with the future touring plans and any future records. And I'm going to go check out your merchandise right now and see what I can get on there.
Yeah. Thank you very much for doing the interview and everything.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.